EVs and hybrids are currently rocketing in sales, and I really wanted to touch on this today because as a car channel, I am obviously true to the petrol head and the engine, but I'm actually really excited for EVs, and I don't think it's a bad thing at all. You know, with the petrol and diesel ban coming into play, I think it's important to talk about as car enthusiasts. And looking at it, I wanted to talk about some of my favorite cars on the market that you can buy today. Now, some of these are hybrids, some of these have ecotechs, and some of them are fully electric. But I feel like they all fit the category. And for me, I wanted to talk about those 5 favorite ones that we have. And I'm excited for the future of EVs because it gives us some interest in the changes that we're going to see. And there might be some very exciting cars that are still yet to come out, which I'm sure will happen. So if you do like this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let's jump straight into it. So kicking things off with my first car of choice would have to be the Porsche Taycan. Now, I never really liked the Porsche Panamera, and I know they did an E version in some form, but since the Taycan has come out, it has been pretty awesome for me. I've really liked the looks, the styling, and everything about this car has just really excited me about EVs. You know, for a long time, EVs have been pretty boring, and let's go over some of the stats right now because this car really excites me. Now, let's start with price. This is a shockingly expensive car, but then it would be because it's a Porsche, I suppose. The pretty much base minimum you're looking at is 85k, but if you want a turbo, you're looking at 115k, you know, up to 130k for some of them. So it is very expensive right now. This super sports luxury EV is very far from realistic at the moment for most people. That being said, that's just on its price alone. I think the car itself looks fantastic. They've really styled it very well. And I remember seeing this thing a few years ago and thinking that looks amazing. And it's kind of what you'd expect really from the future. It has a 390 to 560 kilowatts, which is now the new horsepower. So I'm assuming that is pretty fast. However, electric cars do typically have a lot of power. Coming in with my second choice is Tesla Model X. Now, the Tesla Model X has actually been around for a good 5 years now. But for me, this is still one of my favorite electric vehicles, and I know this is very controversial. It kind of gets different reviews depending on where you go. So Auto Express gave it a 3 out of 5. CarWow gave it an 8 out of 10. And I suppose this car is still very expensive for what it is, given that it's an £81,000 car. Now, it does have a towing capacity of 2,200 kilograms, which is a lot, and you can bring 7 people in this car, which is insane. I think for me, my favorite thing about the Tesla Model X is that it has gull-wing doors, and that was what it really set it off for me. I love this car. Now, we've all seen the speed tests of the Tesla Model X, and they pretty much beat anything out there. So I don't know whether it was just for me, but it was the benchmark that was set in this car that really shone out to me, and I've always kind of wanted one. Now, obviously, they've got the Tesla Model P and the 3, so there's a lot of choice now, and they all kind of deliver similar power. The X was just really stand out. However, looking at it now, it's pretty big, so I probably wouldn't want to choose it given that there is, you know, the P180, and I'd probably go for that given it's a nice looking saloon. But Teslas are still very expensive, and it's a shame because I think over the years they will start to get cheaper. But for me, Tesla has stood out, I think, being the more leader of this pack, and well, it's interesting to see where the future will go with the Roadster. Coming in for my third choice is the Honda E. Now, I couldn't just pick a load of expensive E-cars. I actually wanted to go for something that was a little bit more affordable from the range that we have today. I had to pick some that were more reasonable, and the E for me is one of those cars that really sits in that line where it is super cute and super cool to look at, to drive, and the interior technology that goes with it. What I particularly like about the E is that it is brand new. This isn't one that was made 5 years ago, so it's going to be up to date and usable on everyday roads. Now, it is pure electric, so there's absolutely no engine in this, unlike some of the cars I have included in this list. But what's great about the E is that it has a lot of cool stats to go with it. The interior for me is probably the coolest part of this car, and I love that huge screen and side mirrors on the inside. Now, top speed of the E is 90 miles an hour, which is very slow for an electric car, but you know what, that's not too bad because it does come with 134 horsepower, so it'll probably be powerful in those lower ranges of speed. And that said, it does come with 315 newtons of torque and a 9 seconds 0 to 62 time, so still not terrible at all for a little city car, which for the most part you'll probably be driving slowly anyway. I actually have to say this would be my favourite one of the E-cars right now, just because it's cute, it looks cool, and it looks like it'll do everything within a reasonable price, being roughly 25k from new at the moment. I can see a lot of these cars being really useful for general commutes or into towns, maybe for a work car, and that way you can keep your project car as a weekend build. I like that idea a lot. The technology in this car is absolutely packed out, and this has the most technology I've seen in any other electric car, given that huge screen, door mirrors, and rear view mirror. Coming in for the fourth choice is very similar to the Honda E. It is the Peugeot E208. Now, this Peugeot E208 is also very similar to the Corsa E, so I'll just throw both of them in for the sake of this video. I really like the styling of the Peugeot 208 because it really starts to show how it's starting to integrate into a normality. You know, e-cars used to look very much like e-cars. Now this is still the car that is hidden in disguise. It's almost like a little sleeper. In terms of stats, it does come with a very, very similar stat choice with 134 horsepower, similar to the Honda E, a 0 to 62 time of 8.1 seconds, so a little bit faster, and a top speed of 93. Now I have to say this top speed is very slow, considering most cars you'd want to get to at least 120 if you needed to. But that being said, it'll be fast for around a city or a little town, and I think that's where it really comes into play here. Now, obviously, it's very stylish because it's French, and that's what I really like about this, and it was the main reason I picked the Peugeot. Very similar with the Corsa, they sort of share the same body structure and engineering behind it. I think this one will be most popular with younger people potentially because it will have a bit more hip and because it is cheap. For my final option is the Fisker Karma. This car is actually the oldest of the list, given that it came out in 2011/2012. Now, the Fisker Karma, if you don't know, is a luxury four-door sedan that was very, very popular back when it came out, and it was sort of the first of its kind, and it was really pushing the bar of where electric vehicles would be. Now, in fairness, this isn't really a full EV, it's a motored EV, so it really is half and half, but this was really pushing that time when they were making cars like this, and it really started the EV craze. Now, Fisker have actually updated this, and I will talk about that in a minute, but this is a full-size luxury car, which was created with a 2-litre turbocharged Ecotec, producing roughly 479 newton meters of torque. So that's 161 horsepower, which isn't a lot for the size, but given it's electric, it tends to not matter as much when it has that power behind it and the battery. It's got a 230-mile range, which isn't fantastic compared to what we have now, but you've got to remember this car is 10 years older than what we have now, so technology was a little bit behind in the electric scene. That roof with the solar panel does make this car amazing, and that's really why I added it. It's such a luxury that you do not see on any other car, and maybe electric cars will continue to add solar panels in the future. The car retailed for almost £100,000, which is quite expensive for its time, and even for an EV today, that is still very expensive. Now, they have updated this car since, and it is now called the Revero, as you can see here, and it's a lot better looking, I feel, and it's changed in its modernness. It's an awesome car, and the fact that they made only 2,000 of them makes it even rarer, which I think is amazing. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this video of 5 of my favourite EVs. If you have, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next Cars with Ben video, where I will talk about more different cars and different content.